And now, from the bowels of the internet, it's the Hate This Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Hate This Motherfucking Podcast. I am one of your hosts, the Sainted Magnus, and I am joined by my three partners in crime, or partners in hate, whatever you want to call it, Yo Chaos, Razor Fist, and Alpha Omega Sin. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Indeed. Godspeed,
You're
fellas.
in the most literal form you can. So, I'd just like to thank everybody on behalf of the 8-Bit Podcast for actually listening to us 3 or 4 jackoffs fuck about last week. We are all absolutely humbled and blown away. So we're going to segue straight into user emails, which is going to be quite fun, because I asked you guys to actually send us some emails, and 14 of you actually sent us messages. So I'm going to go into random.org. Thank you very much, my friend Gareth. He knows who he is. And let's see, here we go. What number have we got? Come on, don't be a jack-off, hurry up.
I think that if we can in the future, we ought to get the Blues Clues, here's the mail, it never fails, it makes me want to wag my tail, when it comes I want to wail mail part, and put it on here, but a death metal version.
The fuck are you talking about?
How
Dude,
much money do you have to spend on licensing, man?
Well, the thing is, like, I like stuff when it's done in death metal style. It makes me happy, especially if it's Blues Clues.
Right, this random.org is just being... Right, so we'll just go straight into it, fuck it. I'm just going to choose one bloody email. Right, I'm going to go for... Well, we'll go for the old chestnut. Mega Man Legends 3, and that was actually submitted to us by Michael Witter via email, so thank you very much, Michael.
Thanks, Mikey.
Yep. So, Mega Man Legends 3. Well, I, for one, I am quite disappointed because that means there's no Mega Man for the 3DS. And since I've just found my new love for the 3DS, I'm a bit upset about it. But I think there's only one person that can actually explain our disdain in less than 3 words, and that's Alpha. Go on.
Oh, it's less than 3 words. Well, I guess I can go with fuck Capcom. So
Yeah.
that's 2 words right there. But I will say one good thing, even though a lot of people say hogwash, and that's still not going to happen. But the dev room for Mega Man's Legends 3 is still growing, and Capcom apparently is still paying attention to it. And on top of that, the 100,000 strong movement on Facebook is up to, it's either 70 or 80,000, I forget. But it is nearing 100,000. So if any of you are listening to us now, go check it out on Facebook and give it a like. A lot of good folks over there. And check out the dev room too, because, I mean, if they are legitimately going to be giving a shit about that the way that they're saying, and it's dependent on that, then, get your surfbot number and get this shit off the fucking, off the deathbed and actually on some life support and have it happen.
Yeah, I think we should... we'll provide a link to that Facebook page down below so you can all click that like button. Anyone else got any opinions on that?
I honestly don't give a fuck about Mega Man Legends, so maybe you'll want to ask Yell Chaos. I don't know.
I'm sorry, man. I'm really, really busy giving less than a fuck about Mega Man Legends 3. I know Rob Man. I know Rob Man from the Happy Console Gamer Show. I know he's really upset about it. So shoot him an email and he'll cry you a river about it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, I mean I appreciate his opinion and everything. It's just this is nothing new. Capcom's been being total shits to everybody for the last 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
Is anybody really surprised? And do you think they give a fuck about your Facebook, your petition? They don't.
If you're still sobbing into the pillow about Capcom not making Mega Man Legends 3, and you're honestly convinced that Capcom gives half a decaying llama turd what you have to fucking say, you should ask yourself real quick where the sequel to Breath of Fire is. Just throwing that out there.
Valid point.
These are the same people that earlier this week shit all over the fucking genre that made them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically.
See, there's one major thing, though, that I think actually makes this a special case. Even if you love or hate Mega Man, one of the reasons why this will catch a lot of people's attention is because when they were making this, the whole dev room concept isn't really done all that often, and they actually had lots of user input. Lots of people put forth their efforts and their ideas and gave their opinions, etc., and were actually invested into the development cycle of this, and then it got taken away from them. And besides, like, the diehards, the people that were actually, like, into this, I think, I actually felt especially bad for, because they were just like, hey, I thought I was going to be part of something big. That kind of sucks. And it's just, an additional dick move to add to their endless fucking spree of dick movery. I don't know what to call it.
Dick movery. That'll be a peripheral for the PlayStation Move in a couple months here.
But yeah, in short, we'll just say this. Fuck you, Capcom. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fight right, Dick.
Fuck you with the move, with the ball, unlubed. And
yeah, let's add an extra ball there and then shove it up their ass.
Well, they seem to like a bit of cock and balls, but that's another story for another podcast. Right. Thank you very much, Michael, for that very interesting topic. We have got another one. Let's see. This is from Plate222, sent to us by email again. And he asked, can you talk about game developers going after used game sales, why they're full of shit, basically. So,
So essentially, the day one DLC shit is what he's talking about.
No, the fact that they're going after used game sales and trying to stop. I can understand why they're trying to stop GameStop making up a fucking 75% profit on a fucking game. Jesus. And then, but it's the whole thing that with the online passes and.
Come on, you don't know about 75% is a pretty conservative estimate. I mean, for Christ's sake, some of this stuff, like if you give them a refurb game, I talked about it in my GameStop rant. Yeah. But basically, if you give them a refurb, they're going to give you $1 for, say, the game's $30. They're going to give you $1 for it because there's a refurb fee on top of it.
Oh yeah.
And then they're going to turn around and they're going to sell it for the full used price, $14.99, $20, $30, whatever. And that's basically 99% profit for them. That's insane.
Oh, exactly. Yep. But it's like over here, right? We've got a store called HMV, right? Brand new version of Brink on the Xbox, PlayStation 3, whatever system. £9.99. The pre-owned one, £9.98. Wow. And they take it on trade for, I'm guessing, about £2.
Well, that's, GameStop does the exact same thing. Brand new game, $59.99. Used game, $59.94.
Exactly.
Or $54.99.
Yeah, they'll knock off that whopping $5, and you're suddenly just saving a ton of money.
Oh, needed to save that so you could buy half a fucking ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Right?
or in my case, half a packet of cigarettes.
But,
well, I think there's something glaring that everyone's kind of missing. If you read your history at all, this sounds a lot like I want to say in the early 1990s, where the Recording Industry Association of America tried to sue all warehouse retailers for selling pre-owned CDs.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of litigation done in that direction, and of course that was ultimately defeated. Which is why I don't see how these game developers have a leg to stand on, because this was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. Supreme Court struck it down, and now since video games, they kind of run the show now as opposed to like Hollywood back then. Suddenly they're getting the favors and the sway, and lobbyism exists at the video game level too.
Yep.
I mean, I feel bad to a certain extent. I can feel for the small publisher and the small developer who puts their games out, and 30% of their sales they never saw. I can feel for them, but at the same point, this is a business model that has been intact for years. GameStop isn't new to the thing. Video games aren't new to it. This was going on during the 8-bit era, back during Atari. What about, whenever they had arcade machines and everything? Somebody just keeps reselling the same arcade machine. Well, they're not buying those arcade machines new anymore. It sounds kind of silly to go and put in those kind of terms, but it is essentially the same exact thing. You feel bad, but this is a business practice that you can't really, it works, but you can't really get around. It's like, well, how can you tell them what to do with their product?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, not only that. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just saying. Somebody pointed out this past week. I believe it was. It was a game developer essentially. He said that back even like 10 years ago, there was what you would call a tailing off of the sales. You would have months and months and months where you'd still have some sales on the game or whatever. That's essentially gone now. You get your first month, first 2 months maybe, sales numbers, and then it immediately falls off, and it's steep and it's immediate, and then nobody's buying it at that point because the used game market is taking over at that point. So that's a genuine gripe. I mean, that's got to be a huge amount of their revenue right there. At least I would imagine, if I had to just take a shot in the dark, probably like a third maybe of their overall revenue that they've just lost. It's completely gone.
Yeah. Well,
that
you guys
there's a sweet irony there, though.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys actually saw this article, but the people that made Heavy Rain for PS3, they had went on record and said it. I actually don't have it memorized. I just remembered reading it, but they had went on record and said how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, that they had lost due to used game sales after they tallied it up. And I mean, it is an astounding amount, but it's just like, again, if why do people ultimately buy games used? They buy them because they're cheaper. If you want to compete, lower the new price immediately, and there you go.
See, David Cage, the guy who made Heavy Rain, he has no leg to stand on when he complains about that, though, because he's making a game that is going to be highly susceptible to used sales. Because you play Heavy Rain once, and okay, maybe you'll change one or two things in the second playthrough. You're going to play it once you're done. You know what I'm saying? You
essentially play for endings in that game, though.
Because once you get to the certain part where you can just get, you can work on getting the next endings, it's pretty much simple.
Yeah, the minute you play through it once, maybe twice for the additional ending, you're done with it, and you're going to trade it in.
Exactly.
So that type of game is going to take a massive Titanic-sized fucking hit.
Well,
in the used game sales.
One thing I have to say that there's a very sweet irony here. For the last few years, Razor Fists, Alpha, you know this, we've been in what's called an economic recession in the United States.
Can I just give you a news?
You guys are having one
Can
too,
I give you a news flash? It's worldwide. It's worldwide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Well, only now, thanks to China starting to go down. But anyway, this has been going on for some time. You knew that. What I found really funny is, and the irony part is this. Sorry there. Early in the the early aughts, 2005, 2006, it was heavily documented that while workers' earnings were decreasing and we were going into an economic depression or recession, whatever the hell they want to call it, there was a lot of notes that GameStop, video game manufacturers, video game developers were still making money, doing well because people could afford to stay in, they couldn't afford to go out.
Yep.
And that's basic capitalism. Yep. That's basic capitalism, and that's how the economy sways. Supply, demand, and then also has to do with timing, etc. I don't need to explain that to you because I'm probably not the guy to explain it. But all that being said, now it appears that they never mind the used game sales. No one ever said anything about you. I mean, there was a little talk of it in the middle 90s when GameStop first kind of came on the scene, at least in the States. But now that their business is decreasing, but GameStop is kind of holding their way, now they're going to upset. Now they have an arm to lobby with. And now they have a problem with the used game sales because they're not doing so well. That is irony.
Well, think of it this way, right? Most of the game series that I ever buy, we'll take the Soul Calibur series, for example. I bought the first Soul Calibur game on the Dreamcast, pre-owned. And ever since then, I've always bought Soul Calibur brand new, because I want to support that franchise. Now, they need the used games market to give people that chance. If they're not sure, they can go out, pick up a used copy of it, and think, oh, I'll just buy it used so I can try it. And then if they love it, they're going to go out and buy the next fucking game brand new. I know I've done it. You know,
Where the fuck is this artificial morality coming from in people purchasing games?
I don't know. It's just that's where
Because
I've
I
always
think
been.
that's very superficial to insist that somehow you care about the developer. You want to play a fucking
Well,
game.
I care about it. I care about Namco.
I was gonna say sincerely,
Well,
like
I'm sorry,
it's
Phil,
not
you're part of a
superficial to
minority.
everybody.
Huh?
I don't think it's superficial to everybody. I've actually gone out of my way to buy used games quite a few times because I know for a fact that those particular games aren't going to sell well, so I want to buy them new so I can see that franchise continue.
Exactly.
I was
And I
willing
still think that
to.
you're part of a minority, as am I.
I didn't have. I mean, I'm not Daddy Warbucks over here, but when Deus Ex Human Revolution came out, you're damn right. I went out and I bought a augmented edition or whatever because I want to support Eidos Montreal because they made a really good game.
And now they've just announced that they want to make a few more games, and Soul Reaver is in there. Soul Reaver.
Oh,
If they make
That
Soul
is
Reaver,
fucking
I am
exciting.
buying it brand fucking new. You know, just because I support
If they
them.
carry on the same amount of quality that they did with Blood Omen Legacy of Kain Defiance or Soul I forgot what they called that one, but I think it was Legacy of Kain Defiance, but Defiance was like my favorite of the entire
love that.
thing, and oh my god, if they actually make it like that, I'll be fucking happy.
I had fun with Blood
Well,
Omen
that's
too.
all well and good.
I had fun with Blood Omen too. It was
That-
awesome. So, what we've got?
Well, that's all well and good. I appreciate your guys' standpoint. I feel the same way, and frankly, I've gotten a lot more into new releases because of Club Nintendo. But what the fact? I do. I'm serious about that sort of thing.
You wear your Mario hat to Club Nintendo?
I know. I take my
there a
Mario
music-
Messenger bag.
Do you?
You have a secret handshake?
Yeah. do you pay for your beverages with the coins you collected out of boxes?
I do. As a matter of fact.
Ooh.
I hope that you're out there
Yeah.
shaking your ass on the dance floor at Club Nintendo.
Well, check it out. Mario has 5 letters. Vodka has 5 letters.
Yeah.
But all that aside, at the end of the day, we represent a niche group. Whereas, times are tough. What I'm ultimately saying is that it's arrogant of game developers to think that they can reverse a failing market with litigation.
Well, they're just stupid.
I think that's a very arrogant
They're
statement.
stupid. Simple as.
Yeah.
I've always thought that.
You really think that's going to prop you up in the eyes of the consumer by suing them?
I don't know. Don't tell the president that because he tried to do it with the economy. But it's
Oh, we'll stay away from politics. So, anyway,
We don't do
no, we don't do
here.
politics. So
It's entertainment,
that's
baby.
entertainment. So we're going to move on from that. Thank you very much, Mr. Plate. Plate 222.
Thank you much, Plate.
That was a brilliant topic, and we kind of discussed that for a long, long time. So, gonna
They get their money's worth here on the Hate Bit podcast.
Fucking A.
now give us some joke. I'm gonna get for that, but I don't. Shit.
No, he's not joking.
Anyway,
Please, now.
anyway.
We're starving.
We'll do some more emails later on. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to the news, and I'm going to start the news this week with Game. Now, if you remember last podcast, I mentioned that Game was going down the toilet and they filed for administration. It happened the day after we recorded. The ad actually happened, and 277 stores were shut. Even my local one. My nearest one now is in my next town over. And in a week, 277 stores shut. That's a mixture of Game and Game stations.
Wow, that's amazing. When
a
Circuit
lot
City
of
announced
That's a lot.
closing
That's
here,
a
it
lot
took
of stores.
months.
That's a lot of stores, and near enough to 2,000 people plus lost their jobs. But since
See, that's terrible.
over this week, I've been keeping an eye on it, and somebody has bought them, and it's actually a company, like a big umbrella called Op Capita. Now they own Currys and they own a chain of equestrian stores, so they've got the retail experience there.
when you paused for that long to think of the name, I was thinking for sure you were going to say like Shadaloo or
Oh,
something.
I should have done, but GameStop had bought them. It would have been Shadaloo, but just let me get this
Yeah.
last bit out. So they've got the retail experience there. So what they've done, they've tried to maintain as many jobs as they can. So the stores are up and running. The loyalty scheme is going to be reactivated. The trade-ins are going to be reactivated. They've not reactivated the pre-orders yet, but that is going to happen. and the online stores are working as well, but there's going to be a backlog with your orders if you're ordering anything off the website, so be warned, you're going to be waiting at least a week. Usually they dispatch within 24 hours and it's on your doorstep in 2 days.
Oh, dread a
I
week.
know, but consumerism, everybody wants it there and then. But anyway, that's my little bit of news. I'm going to move on to who wanted to talk about Zipper games.
That would be myself, Razor
Go
Fist.
for it, lad.
Just for those who are not... We didn't actually get to introduce ourselves at the beginning, for the record.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, Zipper Games, the makers, for those who are uninitiated, the makers of MAG and SOCOM, and most recently of Unit 13, which is going to be released for the Vita, were closed by Sony this past week, essentially. They are dead. They are kaput. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I think it's kind of ironic to close a studio down before their latest release.
Oh, I don't know.
Even,
Don't tell Pandemic that they still hadn't released. Was it the Saboteur?
Yep.
And they were closed down.
Yeah,
So, that's gotta be fun. It's like, hey, you're all not gonna have jobs here, but for the time being, go ahead and finish our game for us.
I'll be like, you son
Sure.
of bitches.
That's when you start coding in like little random wieners and just jizzing on Sony logos.
Maybe that's why there were so many titties in that game.
Titties!
That's a good point.
Sorry, I just had to get that in there. Yeah, so Zipper Games are gone kaput. Oh well. Thank you very much, Sony. That this is another reason why I'm starting to lose touch with Sony, even though I have gone on record by saying I do buy Sony products. Yeah, and Razor Fist is just looking down.
Everybody in the free world buys Sony
you are a
products.
little fucking Sony fanboy, and I'm gonna say fuck you. Anyway,
I'm more of a Sony fanboy than you are. I have a Sony alarm clock.
That you can't get more fanboyish than that. Anyway.
See?
Anyway, moving on.
Get a Crash Bandicoot plushie.
Anyway, moving on.
We got little Big Planet
Shut up.
Yummies.
Moving on. Right, we have got that bloody Kickstarter program that keeps coming on. The people that want to make Wasteland 2. They've made a fair bit of money, and Obsidian have piped up by saying they want how much?
They want $2.1 million, and they will help work on Wasteland 2.
How did they arrive at that figure?
I believe
Arrogance?
them and Dr. Evil were sitting around having
Well,
some
I'm saying at least James Bond villains have the decency to ask for a nice round number. $2.1 million.
I know. Like, and if they don't
Well, what
deliver
about
it,
$2 million? You insult me.
they don't deliver it, they'll fire the laser.
The laser.
No.
It's the
So-
sharks with lasers on their heads.
Yes.
Alan Parsons Project.
My question is, how much do I have to donate for Obsidian to actually finish the last 20 fucking games they released? Here's a $5. Make it so Dungeon Siege isn't an impossibly glitch-addled bowl of rotting feces.
Yeah.
Actually, I actually think Ubisoft should jump on this whole Kickstarter bandwagon, because I'd kick in $1,000 for Jade Raymond to blow me. And don't lie, you would too.
I think every fucker would. Well, come on.
Assuming you could find a Jaws of Life to pry your duck lips off of David Jaffe's little cocktail sausage, but that's
the less said about Jaffe.
I don't know, man. I'd have to see a sign that says minimum donation and judge from there.
If somebody puts minimum donation, yeah, that's another thing that fucking gets me, right?
There's no such thing as a minimum donation. That's an admission price.
It is a little rant now, right? Minimum donation on these fucking Kickstarter things, right? $10. $10 fucking dollars, right? For fuck's sake, if I want to donate, I'll donate fucking £3, which is $5, right? Fuck you, you're not having my money now.
Yeah, technically, with something like that, if you're gonna be self-sustained, it's one thing. If you're gonna be sustained by the charity of other people, you should be willing to accept anything that they give because it's in their good graces.
Yeah. And then they're asking for a minimum of $10.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
My question is that even fucking legal? That's like That's like paying to go to church.
It's you know what I think it is? It's legalized fucking begging.
Yeah, I got you, Yell
Well,
Chaos.
begging's never been illegal.
Yeah, Chaos. It's a bit like if you went to church and they passed this collection plate around and took your dollar.
No,
I mean, who would do that for centuries and centuries?
Yeah, no, they just do it with guilt. That's a little bit different. If you gotta go through a toll bridge to get into church.
Oh no.
Here's the thing, though, about the whole Kickstarter thing. Kickstarter is a fantastic idea. It in many, many ways, and I wholeheartedly can get behind it because it can help, bring life to things that normally developers and publishers were just like, no, we don't really care about it. But with something like this, it's flat out arrogance. It's like, oh yeah, we'll humble you with our grace, with our fucking good graces for 2.1 million. It's just like, you're fucking kidding me. Like, you're not that fucking awesome.
No, but
like you may be in the eyes of fanboys, but you're not $2.1 million fucking awesome. That's fucking bullshit to me.
And it's Obsidian.
Yeah.
I mean, come
on. Well, that brings me on to a point. Yeah, it's Obsidian, but just think of it as like this Kickstarter. People are actually paying attention to it, and if a big developer is actually, starting to get into, thinking, hang on, this could be a good idea. Yes, it might be Obsidian Games, but it could open the floodgates to actually for more projects like this to happen in the future. So, yeah, even though the minimum donation had a little bit of a kick-off about it, but the whole concept, I think I'm behind you with this on Alpha. It's a good idea, and I'm glad
Yeah, but
to say that.
I think it's disgusting.
I just feel like it's going to be abused. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to set a very dangerous precedent.
Oh yeah.
Look, Obsidian, we already know, is a big-time developer. They do make amazing games, but to me, to say that you demand that much is going to have to be needed to go and have them on board, it's like you should want to be on board to make a great game for fans.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, coaxed into it only if we meet the requirements of this much monetarily. It's like that's kind of fucked up when you do that to your fans.
And
then in a few months it's going to cost $59.99 at Best Buy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, guess what?
What?
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is rumored to be confirmed.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay.
Anyway,
moving on.
Moving on. But speaking,
make sure and put crickets there.
Crickets are.
And speaking
we gotta have crickets.
of Obsidian, before we move completely off that subject, they didn't exactly roll out the red carpet particularly well, because the first quote they said when they were approached by the media about joining the team to help make Wasteland 2, the guy said, "While I've worked on Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas, getting the chance to work on the spiritual successor to the Fallout franchise is an honor." Which is hilarious because Wasteland came out in 1988 rather, and Fallout 1 came out almost 10 years later. Which is just freaking genius. Way to just set the tone there, Chris Avalo.
Anyway, Sega. There we go. That's who's going to take Sega away. Let's see. Go on, Alpha. You've been pretty quiet on this podcast.
Okay. Well, Sega, as everybody has known, is kind of shutting down some stuff and letting go of some people. So everybody had talks of their, we don't want to say it, but their death. Which I think is a very far-fetched statement. I don't think it's nearly as bad, but it's not exactly the best sign in the entire world, and naturally gets all the wheels in your brain kind of going in overdrive, like, oh shit, are they going to start taking backs to franchises, and what the fuck's going to happen?
I mean, I can't even process, how could the guys who made Alpha Protocol and Iron Man 2 be going out of business? That's a question I have.
Oh yeah, it's confusing, isn't it?
Here's the thing. I mean, even beyond those two games, which, admittedly, I actually got some amusement out of Alpha Protocol. Iron Man, on the other hand, I can't go near without getting AIDS on my fucking dick.
Okay, well,
So,
here, how about I help you? Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
Whoa.
that's not a real game.
No, that's not a game.
That's what we use to drive away evil spirits.
That's
Is it just me, or were we a lot more pissed off about this earlier than we are now?
no, we're.
Oh,
Quite
nice.
possibly.
I think. But the thing is, right?
Here's the thing. They actually did well with Sonic Generations, though. Even though a lot of people want to go and piss on that game, I thought it was a very, very good game, considering the fact that we had Sonic 2006.
Well,
So,
let's just say
Sonic
here.
Generations was pretty good.
Sonic Generations was a blast. It was an absolute blast. And even with the day one DLC, which was an extra level that you could get with a pre-order, but they gave you the option to buy it, it wasn't that much, and you got a nice, cool pinball table to play on, which was actually a good level.
Well, that's cool. Well, as long as you get that, not a complete game, then cool.
See, here's the thing. I mean, even beyond that, some of the stuff that Sega has gone on to publish, it has made me really happy. Not just the stuff that they've had in-house developed and went and published themselves, but I mean, them as just a publishing company, I think have done really well. It's just that they haven't had the games put out there that are like, oh my god, we're selling 13 million copies of said game. But for the most part, I've been enjoying a lot of shit from them this gen. I mean, on handheld and on console. Just they do have the random trip up Sonic 2006 Iron Man. It's like, what the fuck?
But I agree.
I
agree. With
Sonic Brotherhood.
Sonic Brotherhood, yeah, that was a brilliant RPG on the DS.
I've met so many people that said they did not like that, and I was like, why? That's a really good game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've had people just look at me as if my head's on fucking fire while I'm having a casual conversation, and I'm just like, no, it's pretty good, and they just shake their head. I'm like,
and it doesn't help that your head is on fire at the time.
It is pretty good, because BioWare did help make it, so it was when BioWare were good.
Yeah,
I think
but even that is
glaring
acknowledged.
omission in this discussion.
Even that is acknowledged to kind of be one of the indicators that BioWare was heading down the other side of the mountain. At the time, it was kind of the harbinger prior to Dragon Age 2. We won't discuss Dragon Age 2.
No, but
yeah, that's
just going back to Sega. Just going back to Sega.
But here's the thing: do you guys genuinely think that this is the beginning of the end, or do you just think that it's kind of them just getting hit in the head a little
I
hard?
think personally, I've been a
I think this
Sega
is the
fan.
beginning of the end.
Personally, I've been a Sega fan since I started gaming, right, which going on 20 odd years now. And Sega, they've gone up, they've floated up at the top, and then they've just come back down, and then they've hit rock bottom, right? Then they've come back up again, and then gone back down. So I think they'll just do that again, but this time it'll be third time lucky, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I mean, I almost think if they had stayed in the hardware market, they might be doing better, because their acumen with regard to acquiring intellectual properties is kind of suspect at this point. The last several games I've played that have been published by Sega, or especially the ones developed in-house, have just been fucking shit. I don't even know. Their shitness defies explanation. But it's like Alpha Protocol, for example. Sega is culpable for that game being as bad as it was. Yes, Obsidian doesn't know how to finish a game. But they were also, rushed out the door with that fucking game and shit. So, I don't know.
I think with a bit more spit and polish, that might have actually worked quite well. But
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Sega is culpable in that because they're the publisher. Yeah. Their job is to keep the money flowing, basically, so the game can keep going. And they were rushed a bit, and I don't think they had, quite frankly, a large enough development staff.
Yeah. In many instances, Sega has a World Heavyweight Championship belt in lacking spit and polish on most products.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the real problem they're running into.
But now, I'll admit this, right? I do have a bit of a Sega fanboy streak in me. And I do hope that we do end up having a Dreamcast too. But to be quite honest, the honeymoon period's over. The grim reality's starting to sink in that I doubt we're ever going to get one. Now,
well, of course, because they're kind of... They've gone the way of Atari.
Yes.
Atari just makes these terrible games right now. I mean, they publish predominantly now, but I mean, they have a few odd good games here and there, like Indigo Prophecy, Fahrenheit, whatever the fuck. That was pretty good, but they're kind of in the same boat with Sega.
Yeah,
basically, it's kind of the
that's
same
the thing.
thing.
You know, if they do ever return to the hardware market, yeah, I'm buying the system day one. But as an actual software, publisher now, they've done well. But like I mentioned before, they've gone down and they've come back up smelling of roses. Look at the Dreamcast, for example. That's the perfect advocate.
Dreamcast, man. Dreamcast was a great system. It was better than some of the systems that came after it, even. It had some features that they didn't have, which was fantastic. But it was just like, that was kind of the beginning of the hype train for a lot of consoles. And it was, you had Xbox, and you had PS2 and GameCube, and it was just too many consoles, and somebody had to get kicked to the curb, and sadly, Dreamcast.
That seemed to be the crux, the very point before the game developers declared war on their audience.
Exactly.
Basically, that was, as much as people tend to suggest to me because of what I say on my show or whatever, that this console generation is when it's all going down, I disagree. I think the blueprints were laid during the last console generation, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, that whole generation. I think we started getting fucked in the ass around that time.
But, just going back to the Dreamcast was, it was kind of like the blueprint of modern consoles today. For example, the 4-player support, the fact that you've got online capabilities with a browser, may I add.
Yep.
And, it was... We got dial-up over here, but there was an option... There was going to release an option of having the broadband connector.
Weren't they the first system to have broadband connection?
They were the first system to be online, proper online.
Well,
they were the first.
I was going to say the Saturn went online too.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the UK.
They couldn't do it out of the box though.
But this was first out of the box, and then they got the. They were the first to have, like you said, a broadband connection. But it also came with the Dream Key disc. Yeah, on the first, 6 months, the Dream Key was useless. And then they released a new one, which all you needed to do was go onto their website, say you needed a new Dream Key, or you phoned them up, and they sent you one out. Simple. And I love the Dreamcast. I'm looking at mine now, and I still play it. I can sit down for hours and still play half the games.
And what was it, in 2007, they were still releasing shoot-em-ups for the Dreamcast in Japan? Because apparently...
There's still developers making stuff for it right now.
Yeah, still.
And apparently Sony has not even completely sold the entire stock of them.
Yeah.
13 years later, they still have some.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, just going back to Sega again, if they start making hardware again, like there is rumors that there's been patents for various components, but don't forget, they're still making arcade games. So it could be for that.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, I had talked about this a super long time ago, but if Sega did enter into the market right now, I really feel that they would probably scoop up a couple of dev teams to take with them exclusively, one of which I think would be Platinum Studios. Because, I mean, it to me, that's a no-brainer. But beyond all that, if they did the I don't know if you guys are familiar with, like, the architecture on their newest arcade units, but when they launched them, I think it was either before or around the time that the PS3 was out. And as everybody knows, the PS3, is like the behemoth of the three consoles of this gen. Well, the thing is, the Sega unit that they're using in the arcade machines is as big as a console, and it was even more powerful than PS3, meaning that Sega most definitely was capable of holding their own and still adding in all those unique features that every single Sega console had to go with it. I think that they could definitely burrow their own little thing of fans and keep themselves afloat. It's just the thing that's always going to hinder them, like it has with every single system they brought out, is third-party support, because they didn't always get every single third party on board, such as Electronic Arts didn't always want to support them. Squaresoft, now Square Enix, didn't want to support them, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well,
the Mega Drive was the last time they really had.
Yeah, the Mega Drive was, in my opinion, was the best console ever. There's no denying that for myself.
Well, you would be wrong.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you would be
No.
wrong.
But yeah, you two Nintendo fanboys.
The PlayStation 3, didn't you hear him? It's the most powerful. It's the best, man.
Oh no. Let me get my point across. Right. Yeah, in my opinion, you all you Nintendo fanboys out there, the Mega Drive was the best Sega console that they released because it had an impressive library of games. You know, there was a shit ton of fucking shovelware on it. Yes, there was shovelware, but it did what it did well. Same with the Super Nintendo.
Sure.
The Super Nintendo did what it did well. I have both systems, so I can safely say they did well with both what they've got now. Just going on to the Sega Saturn, I can't really say much about the Sega Saturn because all my memories of the Sega Saturn were bad because it came at a bad time in my life, which is not a story I'm going to tell people on the internet because they can fuck off for all I care if they ask me about it. But
way to connect with the audience, Magnus.
Yeah. But
you're an open book.
yeah,
Magnus.
but that was a dark time. But going on to the
This was a time in his life when he was trying to kick his Ace of Base habit.
Oh no.
But moving on. Going on to the Dreamcast was like, it was brilliant. I was blown away. There was a 3D Sonic game straight out of the box. There was Shenmue on the way. There was whole host of actual, not arcade perfect, but fucking damn close games.
When Capcom was kicking fucking ass and taking names on the
Exactly.
Dreamcast.
Now, yeah, there was no FIFA games on it. There was no Madden games on it. So, in my opinion, the last great console we ever had was the Dreamcast, and I will say that now.
Well, I had an interesting experience when I first experienced the Dreamcast because I got it. My brother got it a couple of years after it had been released, and it was kind of already on its way out. But I remember watching it on the big TV, and I said, "Wow, this looks great." And then, secondly, I said, "Fuck this controller."
Yeah.
Those were my first two impressions.
Man, I like the controller.
I've grown accustomed to it now, but before it was just like, my fingers are too long.
I love the controller. I love the little, you get the VMU and you got the little fucking animation on the fucking VMU, and if you're playing something like Sonic, you get whatever character you're using, their face comes up on the screen. It's just fantastic, and. Well, what we get, we're getting another system with that same feature, bloody, how long, 13 years after the original concept on the Wii U.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's why I say the Dreamcast is, basically the blueprint of this past two generations, for fuck's sake.
The Dreamcast was like leaps and bounds above a lot of the past consoles, but it was doomed for just two major reasons. The first was it did not support DVD.
Yeah.
It was doomed for that alone.
It was too new for that, though. It really was.
I mean, it was too new for that, but look at one of the major reasons why PS2 succeeded. It had a DVD player.
Out of the box.
And that's really the truth. Anybody can sit there and argue that, but that's when most people didn't have a DVD player, and that was going to be the next big thing.
I don't know, guys. Don't tell that to the Xbox 360. They're still rocking the DVDs when we've quote-unquote moved on to Blu-ray.
No, I totally understand that. I totally agree with that point.
Who told you that?
But
the other thing is timing.
Yeah, timing.
Sega got fucked on timing. If they
they
actually sat back like an extra year, if they sat back an extra year and worked on the hardware, made it a little bit stronger, actually went with DVD playback and went with it as their main format for their games, I really think that they probably would still be around right now, but those are two of the main reasons why it's
hardware. Hardware really wasn't a problem. I mean, the CD-ROM thing is just definitely a valid grievance, but they actually top out the PS2 in some categories, hardware-wise.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so, what killed the Dreamcast was piracy.
Yeah, that too. That's another point.
Piracy was pretty fucked on the system. That admittedly, that and the original Xbox, but that's because they built them with generic parts because it was easier and cheaper to manufacture, but ultimately good for them.
The first time
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said the Dreamcast to me is an example of a fantastic console that would have been a runaway success in a world full of honest people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is not the case, and that's why it went the way it
lied. You lie. You lie.
The first time I even witnessed console piracy was my friend had, burned Dreamcast discs and shit. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? All of a sudden, he's Bluebeard. It's like, Jesus fucking...
Bluebeard. Oh. Well, mine was, my first instance of pirated games was actually the PlayStation. And
yeah, that was mine as well.
You had to buy the black disc.
Every Tom, Dick, and fucking Harry over here had a bloody chip PlayStation playing FIFA 90 fucking 8 or whatever it was. And,
dude, I had a friend.
Went outside to play football.
Dude, I had a friend that actually, his cousin was selling the mod chips for it. He would go and solder them onto people's PlayStations for $100, and yeah, I mean, the dude actually made enough money. I shit you not. This was in 1998. So, I actually remember a lot of this. He made enough money off of doing that. He bought a fucking Mustang.
Nice.
Like, I shit you not. He bought it wasn't like the most brand new Mustang, but he bought a fucking Mustang from modding PS1s.
Yeah. Well, the joke's on him because he bought a Mustang.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But wow, the thing is, it's kind of fucked up to think about because I remember everybody I knew, they had modded systems, and I was just like, damn. Then I looked at my collection of real games, and I was like, I'll stick with these.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
I was pretty much the same because I did have a mod chip in my PS1, but that's because I started getting into importing, and one of my first imports I ever bought was actually Dragon Ball GT Final Bout from Japan.
Oh shit!
And guess how much it cost? You'll fucking shit yourselves.
$30.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million.
Might as well have.
$2.1 million.
It might as well have been when my dad actually saw how much it's cost on the label and how much he actually paid on his credit card. It was £75 shipped to the UK.
Fuck.
And he saw the shipping manifest and he was like, "How much was this?" And I went, 19,000 yen. And he goes, "Right." He worked it out.
Well, how much is that?
£75. I'll tell you what, I was washing the car for about 3 months with a fucking toothbrush and a fucking squirt gun.
Did your dad have army fatigues and a cigar too while he was watching you do
No,
it?
he was actually stood there with a bloody whip cracking it. Time I fucking
whip.
stopped scrubbing the car. You know, it was quite funny. But keeping with the whole modding thing. With the Dreamcast, they had that Bleem disc. Do you remember that?
Dude, Bleem was fucking
Bleem
amazing.
was awesome, and you could put this Bleem disc in, and then you could play. They had like a Metal Gear Solid 1 crack game, didn't they? It was like a. I can't remember if it was fan made or it was a real, but you could put that in, and it actually
that was actually real.
They actually high-resed all the textures in Metal Gear Solid 1, and it looked fucking amazing back then.
They did it 1,000,000 times better than the PS2 could, which was even funnier. And Tekken 3 was the other game I played on a Bleem disc, and it's amazing because I couldn't even get my ESPSXE or whatever the fuck the emulator is called on a lot of the settings back in the day. I couldn't even get them to look that nice on the best settings. It's just kind of amazing what they could do. And now we have backwards compatible consoles that can't even do half of that, and HD remakes that definitely aren't even up to fucking snuff to compare to what Bleemcast did, which is fucked in every way.
And then there's the Xbox.
Yeah, the only thing HD about him is the cover.
Yeah, exactly. But then there was the actual Xbox 360's backwards compatibility. What a fucking joke that is. Half the games I've got, I can't even play on the 360, so that's why I've still got the original hardware.
But here's the thing, and then this is why they're the lesser of two evils, because of fucking what PS3 has done. Just throwing the whole fucking thing out the door.
They promised us to have backwards compatibility on 3 generations when they were bringing back, with the PS3.
Yep.
Then I got the, I'm a poor bastard, I got the 40 gig originally. And I thought, I'll play my PS2 games, and because my PS2 was still going, I've still got it. I would put it in. This game is not supported. I went, what the fuck? And then I find out later on, right, that the PS3 Slim can actually play PS2 titles, but only American systems, and only if they've got downloaded a fucking patch. So,
Oh wow! And the best thing was their explanation. When fans got mad about it, they were like, the head of Sony, what is it, Ken
I
something?
don't give a shit.
He was like, well, the important thing is now we can make money off consoles. It's like, well, as long as Sony is okay, that's what really matters. Thanks, asshole.
Yeah, fuck off.
Well, a lot of people tried defending it and saying it was because the emotion chip, which was inside the PS2, they said that they were putting that inside PS3s and everything, but I was just like, well, I mean, let's go and disregard all that and just focus on the main thing, is that I can get an emulator on a PC, any PC really, including old shit ones, and none of them have an emotion chip in it, but they can run PS2 games. Like, I can literally take Devil May Cry 3 from my shelf, put it into my fucking laptop, and play it. But there's no emotion chip in my fucking laptop. It's because it's all fucking software. And yes, it can run just fine off of software. So they're pretty much just like, yeah, let's fuck them over with HD remakes over and over again until they're blue in the face and their fucking wallets are empty. It'll be wonderful.
Yeah, and Sega never had to do that because they had the lovely Bleem disc.
Well, even if they never did that, it just sounds like kind of an asshole move, because backwards compatibility is a marketing scheme. It is designed to let you believe that even if you buy this new thing, you won't have to buy a bunch of new software yet, because realistically, they don't want you to know that they don't have it ready. And you can play your old games. And then you get on there and you get, oh, hey, I can play this old game. And then you get on to the next one, and someone buys it because, oh, well, I've got a bunch of PlayStation games. Throw it together, and now you can't play it. It's kind of like they just said, hey, remember that what we told you? We lied, fuck you.
Yeah, but then just moving, trying to stick with Sega here, that Bleem disc was a fantastic idea. It worked very well.
And it was very
very,
illegal.
very illegal. And they should have just said, oh, well, back, way back in the day, you could actually emulate things to run on other consoles. Nowadays, if they release that, like, Sony would sue Sega and
lawsuits up the dick hole and out your
oh
eyes.
Yeah, you'd be up to your neck in sand. But anyway, we're going to move on to topics now because we've had basically that Sega going, one of the companies going down. Sad news, but that moved into topics which we've just spoken about. So now we're going to move on to 3DS. Happy fucking birthday.
You're 1 year old, 3DS.
Yep, I think this is Yell
You're
Chaos.
acting
It's time
as
to
such.
shine.
Yeah, go on. Shine away.
Go on, bro. It's our rant. This is our rant section.
No, this is this is our topic section. We're still on that.
This is our topic.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So it's the three.
Razorfish just likes to rant, man. That's what
Yeah,
he's
I
good
know.
at.
Yeah.
Razorfish, I will say before I get going, I must say, if you ever go into making pornographic films, please change your name to Mr. Fist.
Mr. Fister. Is what
Mr.
it would be.
Fister.
Mr. Fister, that's even
Bust-
better.
Either that or Tommy Salami.
Oh.
Something.
Anyway, moving on from porn names, we're trying to say happy birthday to the 3DS.
Happy
And then,
birthday,
and then we
Nintendo
introduced
3DS.
the 3DS to Mr. Fister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, happy birthday, Nintendo 3DS, and as I said earlier, you're acting as such. I am still underwhelmed by my 3DS. I'm working my hardest to get there, but as we've seen, this is becoming sort of a Nintendo staple, to release a piece of hardware that they simply don't understand. They also don't seem to understand that people at Cheesecake Factory don't know how to run video game corporations, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
I'm not the only 3DS owner on this podcast. Alpha Omega Sin, and yeah, I'm throwing them under the bus. And the good old Sainted Magnus, our moderator, he's
I'm
the
driving the bus.
3DS owner. And what are your initial impressions? Because as of right now, Kid Icarus Uprising is pissing me off. And I'm not sure if I want to share that on the podcast or if I want to save it for a video, but
Well, give us a snippet.
I'll stew on it. But Sean, how are you feeling? You said you've acquired a new love.
I've
for the
acquired a
3DS?
new love because the original reason why I bought the 3DS was to actually upgrade my DS, to be perfectly honest. Because I've been playing on the DS Lite now for, coming close to 5 years. And before that, I had the original DS. So it's just basically a natural progression. Last year, I got the DSi because I wanted to upgrade and actually have better connectivity with Pokemon. So I got the nice Pokemon Black DS, which was awesome, with the Pokemon printed on it. Yes, you can take the piss out of me later on. But moving on to the 3DS was at first very, very, very underwhelming because I've mentioned this in my video, which I'm not doing a shameless plug. You can fucking look on my channel and watch it yourselves. I was very underwhelmed with Mario. Mario in 3D lands just doesn't work for me. It's not my style of Mario game. I prefer playing the side-scrolling versions. That's just my opinion.
I find that funny because that's actually my favorite on the console right now.
But moving on, my favorite 3DS game at the moment is Resident Evil Revelations. It is by far the best game on the system, and dare I say it, better than Zelda. Because Zelda is a remake. It's not a new game. It's just a remake of an original game that's been churned out, coming up to 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
So you can't say you're surprised.
I can't say I'm surprised, but I am happy with Resident Evil Revelations, even with that cancerous tumor, the Circle Pad Pro on the side of it. It looks horrible, but it fucking works.
It's a great game. Great game, actually. I've been enjoying it very much.
I have. And the other games I've got Dead or Alive Dimensions, Jiggly Boobs in 3D. That's all I can say of that. And Street Fighter 4, arcaded.
More jiggly boobs in 3D.
No, it's just crap. I'll just come out with it.
Jiggly poop in 3D.
Street Fighter 4 on the fucking 3DS is crap. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucking cheater's paradise, right? You're trying to play the game. I'm one of those. I like to pull off the special move by doing key combinations. That's the challenge of the game. Not to have the fucking moves on the fucking touchscreen going, oh, look, I'm going to do a Hadouken. I'll just stab this part of the screen here. Oh, I want to do a Shoryuken. Oh, I'll stab that part of the screen. Fuck off, Capcom.
Yep.
Tell people to actually do something with the fucking thing. Work to pull a Hadouken off. Work to pull off a Shoryuken. Fuck's sake. Anyway.
Yeah, how casualized is Capcom gonna get with the fucking Street Fighter series? They already simplified the fucking movements on Street Fighter HD Remix. What, are you just gonna fucking hardwire the game into my goddamn brain so I can think my way to a fucking win?
No, what they'll do, right? They'll sell you the game for $60. You plug it into your system, and then you'll just watch the fucking thing. That's all you're gonna do. All you need to do, you have to do one thing, and that's sit on your ass, watching it play, and then by the time you get to the end credits, you'll be like, oh, I finished the game, but I didn't do anything for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the 3DS. Super Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS is crap. I prefer the console versions. I will gladly play my PS3 version of Super Street Fighter 4 online with my friends. I'll play it on my own, fucking on the arcade mode. It don't matter. That's the better version. And the last game I've got hold of was actually Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I never actually owned a Nintendo 64, and I'm happy to say I regret buying it then because I'm enjoying it now. It is a good game.
You're happy to regret.
I'm happy to regret that I missed out on the 64 because that game is fantastic. So at least they're doing some remakes of games that I can actually go out and play now. And
Star Fox 64 remake is fantastic.
Apparently so. Anyway, I'm going to pass the baton on to Alpha Omega Sin on this one because I've kind of had my 2 cents and then some.
The 3DS, I mean, I was psyched about it before it came out, like I have been with every Nintendo handheld, because I've been hooked since Game Boy. That's the truth. Were they all perfect? No. But have I bought them all and enjoyed the shit out of them? Most definitely. The 3DS, at launch, everybody was underwhelmed, and that's the truth. It just did not have very good launch, and they should have waited quite a few months before they launched. But on the flip side, we did get the handheld for much cheaper, and now we've got a year's worth of games. We got Super Mario Land 3D, we got Mario Kart 7, we have Legend of Zelda, Resident Evil Revelations, Magnus, you said Resident Evil Revelations is your favorite, and I wholeheartedly agree. It shows off what the hardware can do, which is fucking impressive, quite frankly. It's a really good game. It actually goes back to one of the things that everybody liked about Resident Evil, and it's a scary atmosphere. It's not a run and gun Gears of War fucking clone, thankfully. So I really enjoyed it for that. They have a lot of upcoming titles I'm excited about. Paper Mario 3DS, I'm a big fan of the Paper Mario games. They finally released Kid Icarus. I'm trying to get a hold of Uprising as soon as possible. Let's see, Tales of the Abyss is out right now. That's another game I usually tell people, please play Tales of the Abyss because it's one of the best in the entire franchise. Just really good stuff. All around, I don't have too many complaints about the 3DS. It's just, I think it started off very sluggishly, and I think a lot of people prematurely had said this is, Nintendo's last hurrah, and they're fucking screwed. Look at how bad it's doing, and now, after it's been out for a year, the 3DS has outsold the Game Boy Color, and the Nintendo DS in overall sales, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
And it's fucking 7-1. It's 7-1 against the Vita right now. So reports of the 3DS's death are greatly exaggerated.
Well, to be quite honest, right, most new systems lose money in the first year anyway, guaranteed.
Well, they have to. Yep. It's brand new hardware, and anybody who knows much of shit about consoles and everything like that, and handhelds, is that those manufacturers don't make shit off of hardware sales. It's all off of software, and after the hardware becomes cheaper for them to manufacture over and over and over again, then they start making money off of it. But that's usually not until 2 to 3 years into the life cycle of said handheld, said console.
Exactly. But yeah, the 3DS, it's been a fantastic year for it. First half was a bit shite. Well, we all openly admit that. Then sales started going up when they announced, we're going to do the Ambassador program. I must admit, I was lucky enough to get an Ambassador program DS, so I've got all the Ambassador program titles. The NES games and the GBA games.
But you cheated.
I know I cheated. Fuck off! I've got a 3DS. I'm giving it high praise for fucking once, all right? But Nintendo are doing what they're good at, right? They are fucking brilliant at innovation with, bringing out these, pushing the envelope and saying, here, we're going to try this, right? The 3D, I agree, is a total fucking gimmick and doesn't need to be there. But some of the...
And you can turn it off.
I know, you can turn it off. I've turned it off.
Except for in Super Mario Land 3D, because if you turn it off on the certain parts with it trying to do those segments without the 3D on is really, really, really fucking impossible.
And gyros. Don't like gyros in anything.
Oh, and I just want to throw this out there because I know a lot of people don't even give a shit about it, but it's just something I need to get off my chest. And that's Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, or Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton. For the love of fucking shit, please, I want to see that game hit North American shores. And
yeah, that better fucking happen, man.
Because here's the thing. I fucking love Phoenix Wright. That's one of the few things I think that Capcom has absolutely nailed consistently is all the Phoenix Wright games, Ace Attorney games, they've all been really, really fun. It also helps that I love mystery novels and shit like that. But even with the Professor Layton games, I didn't think I would give two shits about them. As soon as I saw a little kiosk for them, a little advertisement kiosk and everything, I didn't give a fuck. I really didn't. And so I walked up, I fiddled around with it because I was bored, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And now seeing two completely different series come together that work really well within each other's worlds, I'm like, fuck all, please bring this here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to play the game.
Now I want to see Lara Croft versus Cooking Mom.
I've got one. I've got a game which we...
I want to see Samus Aran versus Cooking
Mom. God.
Yeah.
No, but there is one game I do want to see on 3DS. Now, I think a lot of you will agree with me on this, and that is Trauma Center in 3D. Cutting somebody home with a 3D fucking game, that'll be awesome.
Dude, you know what?
Hopefully it has that inward 3D like Mario Land 3D does, where you just look inside.
Yeah.
The thing is, if Trauma Center, while a very, very good idea, I think because not too many of the games really pushed the whole 3D thing, the one game that I think if they really put it out there and put it in 3D, people would fucking eat up and actually play it in 3D would be motherfucking F-Zero.
Oh, most definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, it would be...
Nintendo now did. I hate to change the subject to the Wii, but at this point, we've all been waiting for a motion-controlled fucking Star Fox game.
Yes.
How the fuck has that not happened? What the... I don't understand that Nintendo is not necessarily, they got things that would work great in 3D and they got things that would work great with motion control, but they just somehow there's some cognitive dissonance. It doesn't fucking connect.
Well, there's always been one case that I tried to make, and as a big F-Zero fan, I always said, or at least I've said, throughout the duration, that if you're gonna re-release N64 games on the 3DS, why not F-Zero X?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Great
Which
fucking
also
game. Amazing metal soundtrack. Fucking
Yes.
Absolutely.
fantastic.
And the best part is, does anybody aware of the N64 DD?
Yeah, the disc drive.
I know about it.
The disc drive. The disc drive had an expansion kit for
F-Zero.
for F-Zero X, and you could make custom tracks, and it had all kinds of different features. But that never made it here. The N64 DD was ridiculously expensive at launch. I think it launched in Japan for like $800 American, something like that, in 1997. But but F-Zero X on the 3DS, I know the 3DS is powerful enough to make that happen.
Come on, if it's powerful enough to churn out bloody Resident Evil Revelations, surely they can make a 3D racing game on the damn thing.
Well, hell, look at this.
F-Zero has been completely ignored in this generation.
Did you guys also remember they had a, what was it, the Mario Paint, the movie maker, and they had something else.
They had
which they never
SimCity.
released.
SimCity it was.
Yeah, they never released any of that stuff, and it's just like, okay, well, you have the Virtual Console and everything out now, and now you have the 3DS, which has gotten some very good remakes of past Nintendo 64 titles, because, I mean, they actually put effort into them, not just half-assed fucking HD remakes. I mean, like, from the ground up, made sure it was fucking awesome. Well, why not, like Yo Chaos said, throw in all the stuff from the DD version, and I mean, make this an extremely badass game, really go all out with the fucking 3D, or just build one from the ground up, because I mean, I still consider F-Zero GX one of the most amazing looking, like visually, amazing looking racing games I've ever fucking witnessed and had the luxury of being able to play.
Sure, but think of it as a remake, they wouldn't have to do anything. They would just have to set some new code with some old code onto a fucking, onto an SD chip, which is essentially what the cartridge is. It wouldn't take very long at all, and they'd have an instant smash.
But that's the thing, they don't see that. But speaking of
just the same
racing,
way they keep rubbing Earthbound in our face.
Speaking of racing games, though, I remember going around to my mates and playing on the Nintendo 64 that he had, and he had Wave Race 64.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that was such a fantastic game on that. Then when I bought my GameCube, I bought its sequel. I can't remember what was Blue Storm, yeah.
Looking at it right now.
I played that. Love that. Now imagine playing Wave Race on the 3DS with the 3D on, in like a first-person perspective, or something where you see the splashes. They did it with Pilot Wings. Why can't they do it? Why can't they do it with Wave Race? Maybe they should actually bring some of the older, the older bloody franchises that they had. All the old.
This would be an ideal time for them to compete against Capcom and bring out Eternal Requiem 2.
Yeah, dude, Eternal Darkness still to this day is one of the best
Eternal
survived.
Darkness. I'm all fucked up.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
but what are you talking about? Capcom just said that survival horror wouldn't sell today.
Oh, fuck.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I forgot. It doesn't sell and nobody will buy it. But they will buy games just like Call of Duty. Let's reference Call of Duty 20 more times during while we go and lick its fucking taint a little bit here, and tell all fans of that made survival horror what it is today. Let's all tell them. Now I'm turning this into a rant. All I can say is fuck Capcom. Anyway, continue.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So Wave Race. But going back to my point with they should actually go over all their old IPs Like they did with Kid Icarus, right? They brought Kid Icarus back, and look at how fucking popular it is. You can't fucking find it anywhere. Right? You go,
The thing is,
Despite the clumsy control and the fact that no one in the game ever shuts the fuck
yeah,
up.
but that's a rant for another day. It's selling well.
here's the thing: is Nintendo has an amazing library of games that is developed by them, published by them, that they sit on forever and ever. Earlier we did bring up the whole Mother series, the Earthbound series. Where the fuck are those at? I mean, even if you're just like, well, I don't care about the games, that's fine. Do you know how many millions of other people out there have been like, where the fuck are the rest of the games? We haven't seen them. And especially when we get cock teased with the games over the past, fucking decade and a half, 2 decades, and they don't actually happen. And then Pikmin 3, where the fuck was that supposed to be? I know it's coming out for the Wii U now, but the entire time that the Wii was out, people were clamoring for it. When the 3DS came out, we thought we were getting it on that. And it's just like you're sitting on franchises for years upon years upon years, and people are demanding it, and you're not giving it to them. That's how you piss fans off, and that's how you fucking lose money.
But just going on to the oh fuck, I forgot. My brain's gone.
They'll probably do something really stupid and relaunch Mock Rider
Oh
or something.
god.
Fucking Mock Rider, that's definitely
Oh,
random.
that's true. But thinking of all these re-releases that they keep doing,
They reboot Kung Fu.
yeah, reboot. Yeah, actually, seriously, reboot Kung Fu.
That actually might not be too
No.
bad.
I shit you not. I would
Don't-
buy Kung Fu because it is a fucking beat 'em up, and I love me some beat 'em ups.
Hey, if anybody talks to Nintendo, we wear Kung Fu 2.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wouldn't that be...
but I'll tell you what.
All I'm
Let's
saying
put it
is you
out
got
there.
your-
Let's put it out there, right?
You got your
Go on.
fucking dude. You got your 3DS. You got your 3D. Like stunt effects racing, dude. In 3D.
Yes.
Right?
All I'm saying, man.
I'll tell you one game that's pretty good.
Wait, was that an in-house? Was that in-house?
It sure
I'll
was.
tell you a good game
Was
that's on the 3DS. You can get it on the Virtual Console, and that's that Excite Bike. The remake
Oh,
Excite
yeah,
Bike.
yeah. Dude.
That is
3D glasses,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yes.
And you can save the
Yes,
tracks.
and you can have more than one.
Yeah.
Okay. I have an idea, and everybody, you guys, and I know every fucking person listening to this right now is gonna be like, Alpha has lost his fucking shit and definitely needs to get back on some meds. But I think that a good game, if they really went with it for the 3DS, would be Tellero Boxer for the Virtual Boy.
That would be fucking. It's
Or
funny.
Mario
I-
Clash.
I shit you not. And here's
Mario
the
Clash.
major reason why. Okay, if you got the Circle Pad Pro and you have that attached, okay, you can have it set up and both analog sticks can act as the fist and everything. That was one of the only games on the Virtual Boy that took advantage of 3D. And it's like, it wasn't a bad game despite all the eye strain and the fact I couldn't fucking see for half an hour after playing it. But if you put this shit on the fucking Virtual Boy where the eye strain isn't nearly as bad and isn't giving me fucking visual cancer, then I would definitely be down for some fucking Tellero Boxer. But Nintendo already knows that everything that was associated with Virtual Boy is essentially just like fucking baked goods with AIDS sprinkled on
It's
top.
become so
So
stigmatized.
Oh,
It's
definitely,
unbelievable.
definitely. But I'm gonna.
And all my people who've never played the Virtual
Right, well,
Boy.
I've got an idea, right? I'm gonna bring the fans in on this one. Right, so all of you lovely fans that are listening to this podcast, I want you to go to our Facebook page, and I want you to suggest a Nintendo title that you think should be brought onto the 3DS. Whether it's a re-release on the Virtual Console or whether it's just a ground-up remake or remaster. So get your fingers tapping on the keyboards and actually give us some feedback, and we'll read them out on the next show.
Well,
Tappa,
Magnus, do you have
tappa,
a homework
tappa.
assignment?
Yep.
Let's say, do
Sweet.
you have a homework assignment for our fans that are not so lovely?
Plastic surgery.
There you go.
a paper bag, just like during
a paper bag.
And it needs to be before the next episode is online. We need to have that plastic surgery up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Full frontal, as it were.
Anyway,
Full frontal plastic
and
surgery.
thank you very much, Yell Chaos, for putting me on the fucking spot, you dick.
He just called you a phallic member. Can you believe
Oh,
it?
no.
He did,
I know.
man.
I know. Are you hurt?
No, I'm not.
Damn.
I'm an American. I don't take anything British seriously.
Hey, oh, we We don't play that card in this room. Right, moving on. We are going to move on to the lovely rant section. You know, that's my favourite part of the show. And after last week's response in the comments, yeah, I'm not going to cover that. We're going to move on to somebody else who's going to take over, and that is Alpha Omega Sin. And he's going to rant about something that's pretty close to his heart. So take it away, friend. Let's all bask in your brilliance.
Yeah, my quote-unquote brilliance. No, this will just be me really being kind of pissed off about something. I was going to make this a video, but all you lovely listeners out there get to just hear it on the podcast because I thought it would be a good topic. But it's many of you know that I dig comics, and I especially dig Batman. Well, the thing is, growing up, I love Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, all that stuff. Just very, very good. The thing is, they announced recently that there is a new Batman cartoon coming out, and it's called Beware the Batman. Now, while I was initially excited about this, then they started leaking details of it, and then my excitement started to turn upside down and get shaken like a redheaded stepchild. See, they decided, why make a Batman the Animated Series or Batman Beyond? Let's make it CG. Now, to begin with, I already have a fucking issue with things being, tossed into the whole CG fucking pot and being done up that way because they seem to lack a soul once they do that. But now, beyond that, we're also getting Alfred is running around toting fucking, dual pistols and shooting motherfuckers.
What?
And
Huh?
I shit you not, okay? And here's the thing. While that idea isn't extremely far-fetched because Alfred was with the British Secret Service...
Yeah, he's proved to be a bad dude once or twice.
Yeah, Alfred is going to be running around, shooting motherfuckers. And then we're bringing in Katana, which Katana, if I'm not mistaken, is with the Outsiders. What the fuck she's doing, as a main character in Batman, I don't know, but I won't knock that idea because she's not a bad character. But the thing is, it's mostly my gripe with the art style that they're going with and the fact it's all CG. And if anybody has been following some DC's exploits with recent releases will know that Green Lantern Corps is out right now and has the whole CG treatment. But they stylized this after Bruce Timm's artwork, which looks kind of weird. But seeing Beware the Batman, it looks fucking retarded. And I'm really worried about this because, after The Batman, which wasn't exactly a hit with fans, they followed that up with, The Brave and the Bold, which I did like, but keep in mind there's a lot of people that didn't like the fact that it was not as serious in tone, like with Batman Animated Series and Batman Beyond. But now we have Beware the Batman, which is going into an Elseworlds fucking feel, going CG, and we have Alfred, who apparently has got fucking dual pistols and is ready to just mow some motherfuckers down. What the fuck, people? I want Batman the Animated Series Part 2. I want my serious fucking storylines brought in from fucking Detective Comics and from the basic Batman stories. I want those mythos. I want to translate into a fucking animated form. That's what I want to see relived again so that fucking future generations can go and live on. I don't need this fucking CG confess fucking bullshit. Alright, this isn't fucking Toy Story. This isn't fucking Pixar. Give me some fucking animation for fucking Christ's sake. That's what the fuck I demand. That's what the fuck I want. Now as a Batman fan, I want to fucking skull fuck it. That's my rant. I'm done. I feel better. Go ahead.
Hey!
And we want Kevin
He deserves a clap for that one. I was wondering if he was going to turn blue from all that lack of oxygen. Then
I have healthy lungs.
So we've had the rant section. We've had the rant about Batman, but we're going to try and let's try and sweeten the taste of this a bit and actually talk about Batman and our love for it more than our disdain for this new formula that they're going with. So, Alpha, I'm going to go back to you. What makes you love Batman so much? And I'm not talking about the bat nipples.
No, and the bat butt cheeks that they had too. Because can't have bat nips without bat butt cheeks and bat junk. But
Yep.
Batman's just, I don't know. A lot of people like him for different reasons, but I grew up liking Batman. It's not one of those things like I just like the Batman movies. No, I bought the comics when I was little. I bought the games on NES when I was little. I watched Batman the Animated Series I mean, I had Batman pajamas. I'm fucking 28 years old, and I have a Batman pillowcase from Batman the Animated Series. Okay, I'm you know, I'm a fucking fan of it, and I have a shitload. I have almost 100 Batman graphic novels sitting in my game room. You know, I'm fully invested into it. It's just, he's a kick-ass character. He's really fucking cool, and he has no superpowers, yet he's badass enough to run into fucking Justice League and fuck up gods and, like, people that basically are invincible. And that's because Batman is Batman. That's his superpower, is being fucking Batman. It's just, he's badass. I don't know. I fucking love him. I love detective-style shit, and, I don't know. Oh, and he's a ninja. That also gives him extra fucking brownie points.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't actually a ninja until Frank Miller's Daredevil turned Daredevil into a ninja, and then Batman became a ninja after that. That was during the period when DC was kind of playing catch up with Frank Miller because he had turned comics so dark over at Marvel, and then suddenly Superman, Lex Luthor. You know, he went from being a mad scientist to being a rich industrialist playboy like the Kingpin, and he even got fat and started smoking a cigar like the Kingpin.
I'm bald.
Yeah, and well, he's always been bald. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm a huge Daredevil fan, so I like Batman a little bit, but
Daredevil's really fucking cool. Actually, Daredevil to me is the Marvel equivalent.
Yeah, he's basically
in a lot of regards.
He's like Marvel's Batman in a lot of ways. They're very similar.
He is very similar, except he can't see.
Yeah, no, actually, he's a blind man whose mutant power is that he can see.
Yeah, exactly. And but just share. Everyone's sharing the gushiness about Batman. I actually have a soft spot for the Joker because I've always liked the Joker. You watch some of my videos. I have actually got a Joker T-shirt and I've got a picture of the Joker on my wall. And just going over the whole Batman franchise, actually, I started watching, the cartoon series. I watched the movies. Got into the video games. My favorite one was Batman Returns on the Mega Drive. Absolutely fantastic.
Very good game.
What's everyone's favorite Batman movie?
Oh,
that's the real question.
Batman the movie.
Wait, here's the thing. Can we include the animated cartoon
We
movie?
can include the animated. Yeah, I mean, because Mask of the Phantasm
is.
Yeah,
I even put that above. I put that above. Shit. Okay, yeah, I'm still gonna say Mask of the Phantasm.
You have to hate some.
What?
Well, I was gonna say don't actually say it out loud because if anybody's watching this and hasn't seen it, then they'll be like, no.
Oh, no, I'm not going to at all. I hate it. I hate it, and you will hate it too.
Spoiler free, we'll make it.
But the thing is, beyond Mask of the Phantasm, which if any of you are listening at home and have not had the luxury of seeing it, please watch it, go buy it. It is one of the best movies that you will see.
You can get it at Target in the $5 pile of the DVD.
Download.
Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is also probably the second best Batman animated.
Now, out of the animated ones, I have to go with Alpha and say Return of the Joker, Batman Beyond, because I really enjoyed that. Out of the live ones, not counting the Joel Schumacher ones, because they're just horrible. I'd have to go with, like I mentioned with the games, Batman Returns, because I thought, Penguin was badass, Catwoman was badass, Batman, Michael Keaton was an absolutely fantastic Batman, and that film is awesome.
Yep, it's fantastic. It's more in line with a comic book because it's really stylized. It takes itself seriously, but not so seriously like the Nolan movies. Like, oh, what's this a serious work of art? You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. I like it. Batman Returns is definitely my favorite.
Honorable mention though to the original Batman film because that did set the story of how Batman was, in that storyline, in that mythos, because it worked. Both films are fantastic. In my opinion, Batman Returns then Batman in terms of the live action. Return of the Joker for my animated ones. I do have to say I like The Dark Knight because I thought that was pretty cool. But the only thing that got me about that was in between the set pieces, it got pretty boring.
Oh yeah. And it was daytime all the fucking time. It's a Batman movie, motherfucker. It's supposed to be nighttime always. It's Gotham City.
So, yeah, Chaos, you've been a bit quiet. What got you into Batman and all the previous questions before?
Well, as far as movies go, I have a definite affinity for Batman the movie, the 1960s version.
Oh,
reason being, don't you give me that shit. Reason being is some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. It was absolutely horrid, and I love it.
You just love it for the campiness and the cheese factor.
Absolutely. They actually believed they could turn this piece of shit camp series, which was, I guess, a subtle attempt at dry humor, in a movie. There was nothing to work with.
A subtle attempt? He was chained up with a fucking polar bear in Mr. Freeze's ice palace. Subtle?
I didn't see that one, actually. No, I always wondered, were they writing this seriously, or were they intentionally writing in camp? Because the lines are very blurred.
No,
it's definitely camp. I mean, to me, it's a perfect. It's almost a literal adaptation of the comics. But the problem is, it was made during this. It was made during the '60s when the comics were just so camp and stupid.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
Well, it's painstakingly obvious about watching those episodes is every episode is different because it's written by a different person every fucking time.
Oh, come on, they put him in tights.
The script was written by someone totally different.
They put Robin in tights with curly fucking shoes.
Yeah, little booty shorts. He has little hot pants. Yeah.
This has nothing to do with anything that's going on right now, but would you guys like to hear a little known fact about the Joker?
Go for it.
Sure.
The Joker wasn't supposed to live past like the first or second time that he ever showed up. I actually have the original frames of his death. He gets into a fight with Batman, and he accidentally stabs himself in the chest with his own knife, and then falls on it, driving it further into him. And then he's dead. The cops show up and just see that he's smiling and say that's kind of creepy, and that's it. And that was supposed to be the end of the Joker. That's why they never gave him an origin originally, because they didn't plan on doing shit with him whatsoever. He was just meant to be some crazy dude.
Yeah,
his
origin is still really fucked up and wonky. They still really don't know.
Here's the thing, his origin is fucking awesome that way, and that actually is, I've actually had deep conversations about that, because if you ever read The Killing Joke, that's probably the best interpretation of what his actual backstory could be, but ultimately, they say that the Joker is so fucked up in the head, he has millions and millions of different ways that he came to be. All of them could be real, all of them could be fake. It doesn't really matter, because that's how his mind works. And I like it being left that way.
It's like the one that they did for the Dark Knight. Yeah, the way they did it, they kept the mystery there. They kept the psychotic laugh there. They kept everything there. And Heath Ledger, rest in peace, did a really fantastic job with the Joker character. He did a great job.
Heath Ledger astounded me.
He outshone Christian Bale. But even saying that, one of the fucking extras could outshine Christian Bale.
Oh. But I don't know, guys. I would have to take the opposite view. I think the best Batman villains, because I'm not that big a fan of the Joker, quite frankly. I think the best Batman villains are the ones who, at some point in their life, were confronted with a similar situation that Batman was, and they decided to take the revenge path instead. Or they decided to turn to a life of crime instead. Like Mr. Freeze is one of those people, and some of the origins of Selina Kyle, Catwoman, fall into that category, or the Mad Hatter or whatever. The best Batman villains to me are the ones that you can draw a parallel with Batman, because there's more to write with there. With Joker, it's like, yeah, he's iconic, but he's almost iconic for no reason. He's just, it's Batman and the Joker.
He's more of just a cinematic pain in the ass.
I guess.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of reason for him to be famous. He's like he's the polar opposite of Batman, and he's done so much to shake up Batman's world that nobody else has ever gotten away with.
I think what's great about it is that...
he fucking crippled Batgirl. He killed Jim Gordon's wife. He's killed... they said that his kill count is like in the tens of thousands. and
Yeah.
he's feared beyond understanding. Because of the Joker, we got Harley Quinn. The Joker
Yeah.
made Arkham Asylum itself fucking famous.
Yeah.
Because he's technically like he's the nut job. Granted, most of Batman's rogues are fucking crazy, but not like the Joker. The Joker is his own form of sanity, which they've proven that the Joker isn't even evil. He perceives everything as funny and unfunny.
He's a
And
sociopath.
that actually takes him out of an alignment of good and evil. There's no gray for him. It's just, this is funny and that's not.
Yeah, well,
And I think that's
what was
interesting.
that? Rise of the Red Hood? That animated...
Under the red
yeah,
hood.
the one that they just released literally a couple of years ago.
I thought that one was kind of boring.
It was boring, but if you think about it, you can...
I actually liked it a lot.
I enjoyed it. I really did.
Were you a big Doogie Howser fan?
Well, here's the thing. I actually thought he did a good job being Nightwing's voice actor, legitimately.
Yeah, but Nightwing had nothing to do in there. That was pure fan
Yeah.
service. It was like, hey,
Absolutely.
here's Nightwing for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
but look at like this. Nightwing, it actually isn't like a super relevant part of the Batman stories because Nightwing kind of went off on his own.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
Nightwing's never
including
been
makes
used
sense.
to his full potential, in my opinion. They just kind of let the character languish there.
Uh-huh.
They even destroyed. His whole thing was supposed to be that Batman defends Gotham City. He defends Bloodhaven, which is like what New Jersey is to New York, basically.
Yeah.
But then they dropped a fucking nuke on Bloodhaven. It's like, thanks, guys.
Well, they did that. Well, do you know why they did that?
Because Dan DiDio's a fucking retard with a porno mustache.
That's actually
precisely
one.
why.
That's one major reason. But they actually planned on killing him.
Yeah, they plan on
Nightwing was
killing
going to
him.
get killed. What crisis was it? I forget. Infinite Crisis,
Infinite
Final
Crisis.
Crisis.
It was Infinite Crisis.
Okay,
Infinite
yeah,
Crisis, sorry.
he was supposed to be killed off in that, and they were going to end the series because it wasn't selling that well. And you can actually, like, I actually have all the Nightwing comics now. I've read through all of them, and the middle of the series isn't very good. They shifted writers around and fucked it up. But
Yeah.
towards the end of it, I'd say the last like 40 issues are absolutely like some of the best that it had ever since the series started. And now since they had the DC reboot, Nightwing's actually one of the best series they have going. Like easily.
Yeah.
Except
That
like,
now he's just Daredevil. He's got the little sticks. He's got the red outfit.
well,
got
he's
the-
always had the I forgot what the fuck they called it. It's not
It's,
tonfas.
bow
It's
staff.
Eskrima sticks.
is that it?
Yeah, Eskrima sticks.
Okay, well he's had those for a long time. His have the little cords that come out though? That I forget.
I think they might. I know he swings on something.
He does
Well-
swing because he ran with Batman for a number of years, so he's obviously going to pick up that trick.
Well, I remember that he had the utility gauntlets. He didn't have a utility
That's
belt.
it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, overall, I mean, back to the point is, Nightwing, they've done a lot with him now, and they're doing a lot better of a job. And the thing is, overall, I'll always give the character credit for one major reason, and that's he started off as the boy wonder in Pixie Boots. It was a fucking sidekick, and went on to become fucking Nightwing. He led the Outsiders. He led the fucking Teen Titans. He, on top of that, got to fucking, for an entire year, within our world, not the comic book world, but within our world, got to be the motherfucking Dark Knight. And it was some of the best Batman and Robin stories that they ever wrote up, hands down.
Exactly. And yeah, so Batman, fantastic.
You know what got overlooked for animated
Go on.
movies? Was Batman Gotham Knight. Did anyone ever see that one, the compilation?
The compilation anime, whatnot.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one thoroughly.
It was good and bad. It was
It's-
because
yeah,
It
that was
was
my
because,
thing.
you know,
I felt
it was
that was good and
inconsistent,
bad.
but come on, Kevin Conroy as Batman again.
well, yeah. I mean, that's always going to be awesome. But
Well, Kevin Conroy should always voice Batman, but with
Always.
the last one, what was the last one that they released? Doom, I think it
I
was.
think so.
think so.
It's Justice League Doom, but basically really good story. It's essentially Tower of Babel, but they rewrote it in some ways, which I really didn't like. But beyond all that, really good movie, and they got the original voice cast from the entire fucking Justice League animated series, which included Kevin Conroy as Batman, and
Yeah.
they even got fucking the dude that played Cyborg on the Teen Titans. I forget the actor's name. But they got him to play as Cyborg, which made sense because the new Justice League has Cyborg on a team and not Martian Manhunter.
Martian fucking pants hunter.
John Jones is not part of the Justice League anymore? I didn't know that.
No, he's in a different comic series. I actually forget it because I really haven't.
Is that
been
the guy that
following
they
it.
called John?
Yeah, he's on Three's Company now.
Is that the guy they called John?
Oh god, John Johns. Yeah, he's okay. If there's any single reason why I hate Batman being in the Justice League, it's two reasons. Number one, the fucking Watchtower is in outer space, and Batman in outer space is goddamn fucking ridiculous. But anyways, and number two, because Martian Manhunter is running around in little blue panties with blue Buccaneer boots and fucking red suspenders and a blue Dracula cape. What?
That really is how he's dressed, and that is true. Dude, I actually I have that image in my head now, and it's fucking 50 times funnier. The red suspenders, I think, is what killed it for me right there. The big red X suspenders. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Go lumberjacking or go to a fucking gay pride parade? I can't tell.
Yeah,
Martian Manhunter, as cool as he is, yeah, his outfit was absolute fucking dick sauce. It was silly.
The best part is no one pays any attention to how ridiculous it is.
Yeah,
because the action's
like,
underwear outside your pants.
Yeah. Superman. But
dude, they've done away with that though. Batman and Superman both do not have underwear on the outside anymore. It's just one entire fucking like big spandex bulge busting fucking outfit.
Because that's kind of a bullseye where their cocks were if you want to punch them right in it.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're going to move on a bit though. But thank you for bringing up that topic. It was very insightful to listen to everyone's opinions about Batman, because Batman is by far one of my favourite costumed heroes. So we're going to move on to the listener section, which is basically...
Wait, Sean, before we move on to the listener section, there's something special I have for everyone listening.
Oh, God. Dare we hope that it's good?
Well, maybe. It's very special, and I have to tell everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
I think you've been watching...
Fuck yourself. And now on to the fan section.
On to the fan section. So you tell them to... Oh, I'm not going to get into this. Right, anyway, on to the fan listener section. This is the part where we usually read out some more emails, which I'm going to go and do the random.org now. And we've got number 14. So let's see. Number 14. We've been through that one.
Damn you, randomization. You weren't quite...
Yeah. Right, I'll tell you what. We'll go through this one. And this one was actually left by someone when the fucking browser decides to open up. Yeah, I've got my browser's been a bit shite, so...
Oh, fuck the random... Just pick
one,
I
did pick one, but it's not opening the fucking email. God damn you, Google. Yeah, we've had a lot of shite from Google this past week.
Yeah,
it's because it's April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day, yeah, fucking Google. Yeah.
No, an April Fool's joke would be if you logged into fucking YouTube and it goddamn worked. That would be an
April Fool's. It works the way it's supposed to.
No, it doesn't. Well, anyway, the basic email is that, so the UK and the US got Earthbound, which is Mother 2. So, the person that sent this was Danny Driscoll. I think I've pronounced that right. And he was asking what's our opinions on the fact that we've not got Mother 1 and 3.
Gotta be honest, I don't give a fuck about Earthbound.
Fair play.
So, somebody else got...
I don't know.
I said earlier, if I wanted to play like a modern day kind of JRPG, or at least JRPG style, I'd just play Secret of Evermore, even though that game was made in America, not in Japan.
And I myself has never played Earthbound, and probably never will, because I am not spending £350 on a fucking cartridge for a Super Nintendo that died out bloody 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yo, Chaos, what's your opinions?
Who cares?
Well,
I
so
think
it
we
looks
have
like it's
you
all me.
Moving on.
Here.
All right. Yeah. So I'll be the black sheep of the podcast.
So,
as a fan of Earthbound, I rented it numerous times from Blockbuster when they still rented out Super Nintendo games, and I only rented it because I had a gigantic
What's a
box.
Blockbuster?
Yeah, exactly. Now they're just an online fuck service. So, Earthbound, yeah, I would really like them to seriously get on the ball with this because we've got two other Earthbound games, mother games, that we haven't actually seen over here, and they know for a fact that there has been fans absolutely like creaming their fucking jeans just to get a hold of a copy of the game. And I mean, for fuck's sake, if you'll bring over all the Fire Emblem games, then why won't you bring over Earthbound? Because I think like Fire Emblem is a more far-fetched approach than Earthbound is. Earthbound is a lot more approachable than Fire Emblem is. And not knocking Fire Emblem, I fucking love that series too, and I was really excited when they finally did it. But it's a fact that lots of fans like it. Bring it the fuck over here. We would like that, despite no one else on the podcast giving much of a shit. I do. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna drink some iced tea.
It's not the fact that I don't give a shit. I would actually like to give it a go, but I don't care to pay £350 for a fucking cartridge.
Shit, dude, if it's honestly too expensive, do what I do, like I did with Snatcher for the longest time. Fucking emulate it. Nothing wrong with it if you can't afford it.
You're right there.
That depends on whose lawyers you ask.
Oh, most definitely.
I don't talk to lawyers.
They're evil sons of bitch.
Well, don't ask them, but they might ask you.
Oh, fucking god, lawyers. We can't be doing with lawyers. But anyway, just to recap over with the job fee, the good old fans. You know, we have a Facebook fan page. The link will be down below. What I want to know is, well, what we all want to know is what Nintendo, IPs would you like to see on the 3DS or remade for the 3DS? It doesn't even have to be for the 3DS. It could be for the Wii U, or it could even be for the Wii, even though it's fucking kicking the bucket already, according to people. But that's the way I see it.
Which people are those?
Yeah, exactly. Because the Wii's still alive and kicking, and god damn it, send over Pandora's Tower to fucking America. Be done with it.
What do you care? You're in Europe. You get to have all that.
I like to share games. I like people to actually enjoy the games that we get. What?
You're such a goodwill ambassador.
Yeah, I am. But I'm no William Regal.
William
I'm no
Regal.
William Regal. Fuck that
Yes.
fucking ugly cunt.
You're not the man's man.
He's a man. Come on, guys, all together.
I'll let you sing that.
Man's man.
Yeah.
Seriously, that was one of the best fucking
Yeah,
gimmicks.
so definitely,
Damn right it
leave a message on the Facebook page, and we'll read some of our favourites out on next week's podcast. So we have bullshitted for long enough. We've took 2 hours of your life away again, and I hope you enjoy it. Just to recap, we are trying to get iTunes up and running, but iTunes require a debit card with money on it, and they are not having my credit card details. We've had such a fantastic time making this podcast, so I'm going to let one of my co-hosts close this show, because I closed it last week. So I'm going to say, let's see. Randomly, I'm going to say Yo Chaos because he's good at shouting.
Well, it's not really random if there's only 4 of us.
Let's go for it.
Did random.org tell you that I was, the one
No,
to do it?
it's me choosing at random.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Come on,
of you.
let's close the podcast now.
This week in gaming, what have we learned? We learned that Sega can fuck up something good twice in a lifetime. We figured out that Nintendo will eventually hit its stride if you decide to put up with their bullshit for an entire year. And we also learned that the PS4 is going to happen, but maybe not.
Right.
Rant in a
Definitely.
future episode.
So, with that having been said, it's been a very interesting week in gaming, and a very interesting week in metal. For those of you who know, I don't have much of a appreciation for Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. I was going to go on a little bit of a tirade there, but I won't.
Go for it.
Because that's not what we're doing. Well, I would, but, it's an open letter, and I don't think that would be good to close with an open letter. No, not at all. So, with that having been said, we thank you for joining us, but Yo Chaos wants to put this up there for you. This is Yo Chaos's Wager Watch, and how much you want to wager? Based on performance in the last 2 years, that Sony Computer Entertainment of America, at the very least, will withdraw from the game market inside the next 5 years. Anyone else? Any takers?
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
I don't think that'll
If
happen.
I
No?
don't think. I don't necessarily. I'm not ready to put money down on it. If a few more things happen, maybe. But not that I wouldn't fucking dance the lambada on their grave. But
And then you'll have me.
Well,
going,
my point of view. My point of view is if the PlayStation 4 is not a total smash hit, I think the writing's on the wall for Sega. Or for
I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair appraisal of the situation.
But anyway, we're trying to close the podcast, not get into a big topic.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
Well, I know that's why this is coming on very slowly. Anyway, with that having been said, now we're all depressed. We're glad you joined us for a very depressing episode of the Hate That Podcast.
well, we're still nicely pissed off. Come on.
We're still nicely pissed off. Yes. I think that's really all I wanted to say to close this. Unfortunately, I'd like to say a whole bunch of fuck, but oh yeah. Before we go, we talked about the Nintendo 3DS, and I was going to talk about the Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm not going to spoil it for you folks, even though I already talked about how no one shuts the fuck up in that game. But consider this when you're playing your 3DS, playing your Kid Icarus. Be prepared to play your game sitting on a fucking high chair, because that's what the Nintendo stand is, and it will make you feel like a retard. So we thank you for joining us on the 8-Bit Podcast. I'm Yo Chaos.
I'm Cincy Magnus. Good night. Pass it on.
I am Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
And Alf.
And I'm always Alpha Omega Sin. And to all my nerds and nerdettes and all the other gamers, I fucking love all of you. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Ta-ta.
Later.